Welcome to Women Let's Talk. I'm Yvonne. I like to continue discussing the topic of self care. When is it your turn? On last week, I began sharing on the 5 self care practices that we as women can do to help transform our lives into a more balanced living. Before starting on today's practice, I like to just do a recap of some things that I mentioned on last week. Last week, I mentioned owning the responsibility of creating and enforcing our own boundaries is no one's job but our own. I also mentioned that if we're confused about our ownership and boundaries of self, others are going to be confused about where our boundaries do or do not lie. I also made mention that the importance of setting limits, having boundaries. I also mentioned that in having healthy, functioning boundaries, we need to know when to open and close the door to the healthy or unhealthy, good or bad decisions and choices that we might make. Also, how we are to activate our door correctly. And in activating that door is simply by using 2 magical words: yes to open the door and no to close it. And lastly, how we might know when our boundary door is malfunctioning. Now, if you missed last week, I want to encourage that you go back and you watch last week's video so that you can get a little more information on the discussion from last week. Now, today I just want to take a moment to talk about practice number 2. And practice number 2 is about telling the truth, being gracious and direct with your decision, ladies. As human beings, we know that we can become overwhelmed with eternal and external noise, some messages, until we become so confused about what we really want to say to each other. For some of us, when we were growing up as children, saying what we really meant was often difficult. I know it was for me. And talking and saying what you really thought just didn't come easy for some of us either. For others, speaking the truth by just letting people know what was on your mind was forbidden. And then for others, there are some who may have sat on the sidelines out of fear of offending someone and just being made to look stupid. Well, when we are speaking the truth, whether we are speaking in public to a large group or whether we're speaking to a small group or even just an individual, someone that we may love, there's no room for fear, because fear is gone when we are totally present. And when we are totally present, we're speaking mindfully, we're speaking with authenticity, we're speaking with compassion, and we're speaking straight from our hearts. Truth telling is essential, ladies, for authentic communication to occur. It makes for genuine interaction between people possible, and it also builds trust. Truth telling treats people with dignity and is also a measure of respect that is missing when someone is lied to. So, today I want to encourage that we begin speaking more truthfully. And notice just how freeing it feels to communicate in an honest way. Notice how much less you'll dwell on situations because you know you've said what you really needed to say. Speak the truth in the present, ladies, to eliminate chances of regret in your future and the heaviness of heart and pain that comes from not speaking the truth. I pray that this information in this video session, as well as the information in the previous sessions, is of help to you and is of a blessing to you. Next week, I will continue to talk on self-care, practice number 3, avoid wishy-washy language. Now, ladies, I want to hear from you. So I encourage that you please feel free to post any comments and submit any questions that you might have. I'll certainly follow up with responses to those questions during the next video session. And now, women, until next time, here's to a cup of joy for you.